welcome to Untitled Tai Chi. I'm Grant. We'll have a little bit of a look at some of the moves in the Shibashi, just trying to refine them a little bit, getting a little bit more subtlety and a little bit more oomph, a little bit more goodness out of them. So when we're in our commencing move, at first often I'll see people bring their hands up kind of like this. Okay, we want to have a bend here and we want a little bend in the elbow so that there's a stretch. Okay, so just play with that a couple of times. You can contrast that. If you have your wrists very straight and your hands very straight, it feels very stiff, like it's not flowing. If we have the wrists a little bit bent, we can feel a stretch right down into the tips of the fingers, okay? And then sinking. We also want a little bit of spiral, so from the starting position of palms in, palms coming to centre a little bit, and the hands are a bit closer to each other. So if my arms were really long, my fingers would meet in the distance, okay? And then as we come down, they separate. Okay, so we want to have that same sort of thing in the broadening the chest, the second move. That feeling of coming in a little bit and then opening. And here, quite often again, at first people will just open their hands here and there won't be any opening from the centre of the chest here, the mid-chest point out to the shoulder here. So just want you to put your hands out in front like that and start by opening here by shoulders back a little and shoulder blades in towards the centre of the spine a little. You feel that is quite different from just opening the hands, okay? So we want to feel like this move comes up our legs, up to the middle of the chest, and then from the middle of the chest out to the fingers. Okay. Our repulsed monkeys move is another one which again people tend to struggle with a little bit, and at first often the shape will be a little bit not quite crossing in the middle at the front, and also people tend not to really take this elbow back. So thinking about this one, it's useful to think of the martial application. If someone's grabbed me in a bear hug from behind and I turn my body and I give them a little elbow in the chops here, if my arm's drifting down there like that, that's not going to do anything much. If my elbow comes back, and also if this is going forward as this goes back with the turn of my body, gives it a lot more warmth, and it also stretches me a bit. If I'm kind of like this, just doing one arm and then just doing the other arm, they're not working together. We want the yin and yang, the stretch and release, to work together. So we really want to feel like if we turn this left one up, that as we turn the body, this left one comes forward, comes back because the shoulder comes back with the body turn, the right one goes forward, so they work together. Elbow, then we expand, then in here, and then palm up, and again working together, turn. So work together, okay? Same again, we bring this one down, we open up, front one, palm up, and not this one first, then this one, or any variation on that, together. Okay, so they're working together. Okay, the next move after that, the rowing the boat move, again, often people will come to here and they'll just open their wrists up. Again, we want this move to come up our body to a mid-chest point, and then we want to expand from here to the shoulders. The shoulders need to come back a little to give us a little stretch here. And then, once that's gone, upper arm, forearm, palm, fingers. So that the move flows up here and then out to our fingers, rather than our coming up to here and then somehow the move bypassing this whole part of our arm and our shoulder and our chest and just getting into our hands. So really want to, as we come up and breathe in, shoulders back, biceps out to the side, forearms out the side, palms out to the side. And then to compress. And same again, we come up, we release the legs, that sends the energy up to the middle of the chest. From the middle of the chest, shoulders back a little, spiral the arms, and make sure that spiral includes the upper arm, not just the forearm or the wrists, okay? And then you can feel it flow. Okay? Good, good. Our next move, this rolling the ball move, people tend to forget a bit about the bottom hand. So the bottom hand wants to roll back. like it's rolling the ball back. And this soft little bit here between your thumb and forefinger lines up with the side of your bottom cheek, okay? So if this is out here, it's not really where it needs to be. It needs to be back here, so that point is pointing towards your bottom cheek. Okay, top palm needs to be up, so we covered this a bit in our spiral lesson. This one needs to be palm back, and we sink, we compress, and then up we come. Okay, this foot, even though it's up on the ball of the foot, it's still got weight in it. It's not sort of, I haven't dropped all my weight here. It's kind of where the oomph is coming from. Okay, and there's a feeling of sinking into this leg but rising at the same time, which that's hard to explain and hard to comprehend, but there's a feeling of the body sinking and rising at the same time. I'm not going to go into depth with that now, but we want to just have, the primary thing is the body is turned to bring this one back, this one forward as well. We want to feel the body goes first and the arms follow, which generates a more stretchy feeling. If the arms go first, there's much less of a feeling of stretch. So if I leave this arm here and I turn here, this part of my body is coming forward, so there's a stretch here already, okay? And then that wants to go that way. Same, going the other direction. Or if I'm up here, if I leave this arm here and I start to turn this way, I can feel it stretch along here. So this wants to come back this way, okay? So always this leading with the centre. Gazing at the moon, the most common thing people do a little bit not so good with this one, and it's good to do this one in front of a mirror. People tend to leave their arms very straight and come up like this, so your shoulders pop up and tighten, okay? So we want to leave the shoulders down and the elbows down. So if you look at this position, my hands are about face height. They're not way up here. If they're way up here, my shoulders are really tight. Shoulders are low, okay? And here, again, when we sink down, people tend to keep their arms here instead of letting them swing, like a swing or a pendulum. If you let them swing like a pendulum, they want to come back up. And there's a feeling here of a little bit of downward stretch. If I'm still here, my shoulders are not getting the downward stretch, okay? So with this one, we want to feel that there's a feeling of a little bit of downward stretch, okay? Same sort of thing with the pressing palms move. People tend to forget the bottom hand. People tend to focus on this one and then on this one. Really want both to work together. So one forward and up, one down and back. The one at the bottom, it was almost like it's squashing a ball down. And this one like it's pressing on the wall of a jumping castle and then compressing. And the compression and release is really key to getting this one to feel very relaxed and very smooth as well, okay? Cloud hands. Again, couple of main things people do a little bit not so well with this one is people tend to pull their elbow back here. Now if you've got your right hand up there and you pull your elbow back, feel all the tension that creates in the back of your shoulder and in your neck and across the top of your shoulder. If that elbow, once it's pointing to the side, forearm extends, so it's out the side, and just check, just look, make sure you're not way back here, okay? Out to the side, and then the turn of the body will bring that across, okay? The other thing people do, when they get to here, they don't continue, and if you just let your arm relax at that point, it wants to go there, which is not where it needs to go next. If you open your arm all the way out here, and then you let it relax, it wants to swing in where it needs to go next, okay? So we've really got to expand that out to the side, make the circle nice and big. Again, if this is here and I relax it, it wants to go back there. If it's out there, it wants to swing in, and as long as I turn my body, it'll go where it needs to go next, okay? This one also, if I grab these fingers and I turn my body first, there's a stretch all along here, which when I release this wants to pop this direction. If my arms go first, I kind of got to make the move happen. instead of allowing the release to happen. Okay? Scooping up the C. So a few variations on this. As I often say, like, you can do it in this very upright position. If you are doing the upright position, you want to be very upright. You want to let your tailbone tuck under. So there's a little rock in the pelvis. Okay, so tailbone under. And little bit of a look up at the top as well. Okay, if you're doing the bend, you want to try and keep your spine straight. Okay, people often will bend in the middle of their back, so the stretch is focused here instead of in the back of the leg. So we want to have the spine pretty straight, and then that little bit of a look up. And if you do the bend, your look up is correspondingly a little bit more strong as well, because if we're doing this one, we're not stretching the back of the body that strongly. But if we do this one, we're stretching the back of the body fairly strongly, so we need to balance that by stretching the front of the body, looking up a little bit, okay? So again, just little things which you can try and incorporate in, and each time we repeat this, I'll focus on different things in the form, okay? Playing in the waves, getting a nice round shape. So if I turn quite side on for this, you can see here that my hands are low, about hip height. They come up and they're doing a circle. So they're doing a circle this way, up and over. So I'll often get people to kind of go like a little semicircle. So it has a stop point and a stop point and a stop point. But we want it to have no stop and no start. We also want to feel the sense of compression as we come down, and then the sense of release. Okay, and we also want to make this push fairly short. Another very common thing people do here, lean forward, back heel disconnects, the tailbone comes up. The tailbone is sinking down, the back leg is very connected, so if someone grabs me here and pulls me, I'm really grounded. My tailbone's up and someone grabs me here, I've lost my balance. When you lean forward like this as well, it's just creating quite a lot of tension in the body as well. Okay, so same to the other side. Again, we're down low, our push is coming more up than forward. You can see I'm very upright, I'm not leaning forward. And this one, even when I say that to people, a lot of the time people still really lean forwards. And this one again is a really good one. Check yourself in front of a mirror doing your push, and you might go, oh, I'm leaning forward, I didn't know I was even doing that, okay? And then drawing back, compressing. Okay. The dove spreads its wings, nice big breath in, and again, starting the move here. So it doesn't start here with the hands. You know, we're stepping and we're opening up here. Often I'll see people sort of open their hands, and this bit here is not getting opened up, okay? So lots and lots of the moves we do are designed to open here a little bit, to stretch here, to strengthen the back a little bit, okay? So when we open, first thing, middle of the back, shoulders back, upper arms, forearms, palms, fingers. Then it feels stretched from here all the way to the fingertips. Chest comes forward, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, palms, fingers. Middle of the back, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, palms, fingers. Middle of the chest, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, palms, fingers. Okay, trying to get that sequence, and that will make the move flow if you can get that. And I'm really like zipping through this really quickly, so you have to look at this, you know, a few times to really get the goodness out of this. The punch, again, this little rise, and we want to feel that like we've been pushed down, the bows, our legs compress, we release to come up. Often at first, again, people will lock this elbow joint. Okay? If you lock that elbow joint with me, with that arm really straight, you can feel if that got hit, it really jar into the shoulder, and it feels stiff and rigid. Okay, we don't want it to feel stiff and rigid. We want that elbow still a little bit off lock. So if that something did hit it, doing, got that springiness, that boinginess, that pun that we were talking about. So same again. If you lock the other one out, you can feel all feels stiff. Let the elbow soften a bit. Feels soft. okay? And that has health benefit, health benefits from doing it that way, and also martial application, because a stiff, locked arm is far more easily manipulated, controlled, broken, dislocated, all that sort of thing, than an arm that's still got a bit of bend in it. If someone grabs that, you can bend. If it's stiff and someone grabs that, here and here, you're kind of like, oh, and it's very easy for someone else to control you rather than you controlling yourself. This one, often as well, a little thing people often do is they'll come up on the balls of their feet first. And then they'll do this and they'll be shaking around, straining to stay up. We want to feel that this flows up our legs, up our body, up our arms, then our heels are coming up. So that when we get to the top, we're already coming down. So rather than coming up with the heels and hovering, straining, and then coming down, we want to feel that we're coming up, the legs are gradually almost straightening, and then up onto the balls of the feet, so you don't have to hover up there for too long. Okay? And the other thing people tend to do with this is their feet tend to roll out like this, so that all this side of the leg is doing lots of work, and in here is doing nothing. So we really want to try to almost feel like there's a ball between our knees that we're squeezing in to the centre, so that these muscles here and these muscles here are working together rather than sort of popping out to the outside, okay? And a useful exercise to do for that is holding on to a wall or a chair or a table, and people seem much more able to come up on the balls of their feet and leave the big toe on the ground and the ball of the foot behind the big toe if they're hanging on to something. Even if it's not supporting them, even if you're just touching a wall with one finger, people do that much better and do much less of this sort of thing if they're just touching something. So doing that can really help you with that form. Drawing circles, no major issues generally with that one. Bouncing the ball, people tend to forget the bottom hand is pushing down, like it's squashing a big beach ball. Okay, so this one, if you want to refine that a little bit, try and feel like this bottom hand might look like it's not moving, but it's still moving just a little bit, and internally and in your mind it is still going downwards. Okay? Balancing the chi, nice and soft. The mind engaged as well. So every Tai Chi form and Qigong form pretty much has three aspects. You have your physical movement, you have your breath. So with this one, the physical movement is up with the breath in, and then with the breath out. We also have the mind, and the mind is thinking, or the intention is thinking light, rising. And then the mind is thinking heavy, sinking. And thinking about balancing those two things. Balancing the light, rising, the yang, with the heavy sinking, the yin. Okay? And then our closing move, back to centre. Again, this one, just relaxed in the shoulders. We don't want to be sort of coming up here like this so neck disappears and is all tense. Shoulders fairly heavy, fairly relaxed. And back to centre, stepping in, hands onto dantian. Let's focus there just for a few breaths. Feel the rhythm of your breathing. Focusing on the dantian, feeling like you're breathing into the dantian, filling it with the energy that you draw into the body with each in-breath, and then allowing that energy to store and compress there with each out-breath. When you're ready, relax, hands down, open up your eyes, a little bit of a shake out, give legs a bit of a shake out. Thanks very much guys, hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks.